So here we are again. So just to give you a little heads up on what the timeline is, since the last time I reported whatever I reported, I've been trying to get treated for 5 weeks now. 5 weeks. And so I'm going to give you the rundown on everything that has transpired and everything that I'd kind of been struggling with. So, right off the bat, it all started in August. I spent the entire month of August in Roatan, Honduras. A whole month. And I thought that was, I thought that wasn't an issue, but apparently in this case, it is extremely relevant. So just remember that. I spent 1 month in Roatan, Honduras. So after the month, I came back to the US and everything was good. Everything was perfect. I was perfectly healthy, nothing wrong. And then about 2.5 weeks later, all of a sudden, I got this foot pain. The joints on my right toe, right toes started hurting. And, I played a lot of volleyball. I jump around all the time. So I injure my toes all the time. So it's no big deal. So usually I do that. Usually lasts about 2 to 3 days and then it goes away. I'll pop a Tylenol or a Aleve or something and it goes away. 3 days had passed. It was still hurting and it was getting worse. And it started just swelling and swelling and swelling. I think, okay, let's give it a couple more days. I gave it a couple more days. In fact, I gave it 7 days and it was just blowing up. It hurt like hell. I could barely walk. I was just laying in bed the whole time. I never left the house anymore because it was so painful. And I was like, crap, what the hell is this? I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm Filipino. That's pretty common. And I'm thinking, okay, I probably got gout. So I'm like, crap, here it is. So now I got one of the long-term diseases that, my culture usually gets. So I've, swallowed my pride. I tried to make an appointment with my primary care physician, whom I've been going to for more than a decade. So I go on their online app and I try to make an appointment. And this was around September 18th to like September 20th. I look at the most recent appointment that I can make, December 5th. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, how am I going to get this treated if I'm not going to be seen until December 5th? My own primary physician who has all my medical records. So what am I going to do? I'm thinking, okay, do I go to urgent care? Do I go to ER? Do I go to a Teledoc? And I'm thinking, okay, how do I hack the system, right? How do I kind of fast track everything? And I'm thinking, okay, well, this is foot pain. So I've gone to a podiatrist before. Let me call a podiatrist that I've been to before. So I make an appointment with the podiatrist. Luckily, I was able to get seen the next day. Much better office, most likely, than my own primary physician's office. He sees me. He takes probably not even 5 seconds. He looks at it. He touches my foot and he's like, that's gout. And I'm like, crap, I knew it, right? But he goes, you know what? I'm going to go and make sure. So I'm going to send you out for labs, okay? So he sends me out for labs. I get my first lab test in the 5 weeks that I'm pursuing this. Comes back the next day. It goes to his office. I look at it. I look at it before he even calls me, and I'm thinking, okay, so the primary metric that you look at to see if you have gout is uric acid. And I'm looking at my uric acid, and it's like normal, right? I don't drink that much. I'm not a big sugar fiend. I don't smoke. I mean, yeah, I eat meat, but I don't eat crazy meat, right? So I'm thinking like, this can't be gout. I think there's nothing here that tells me that it's gout, but my doctor's going to be able to tell me. So I'm like scanning through the whole thing, and usually those lab reports, they tell you when you're within range of all the little blood thingies, right? I did go all the way down, right? And I saw this one lab result for what is called absolute eosinophils, absolute eosinophils. Now the range was like between 8 and 500. Mine was like 1,021. So I'm like more than double the maximum range. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the hell does this mean? Like, what is this, right? So I'm freaking out. I'm waiting for my podiatrist to call me back. Of course, me being kind of a hypochondriac, and I'm looking through Google and I'm looking through ChatGPT. So I'm like loading up ChatGPT, and I'm like, okay, what does it mean when you have high eosinophils? And he goes, well, you're either having an allergic reaction or you have parasites. And I'm like, parasites? Like, how the hell could I have gotten parasites? Or, how am I having an allergic reaction? Like, I haven't been eating anything different than what I've been eating in the last, few months or my life. I wasn't eating anything crazy. I'm pretty consistent with what I eat. And so, I put in ChatGPT. I go, how could I have high eosinophils? And the answer was, one of the answers was like, have you traveled outside the country in the last month or two? I go, yeah, I went to Roatan, Honduras. And then it goes, ChatGPT goes, yeah, it's probably the most likely thing is you have a parasite, right? And it tells me the 3 most common parasites, and it's like apparently like the most common thing, right? So I go, okay, what are the odds that I have one of 3? They're like, okay, the number one thing that you could have is this thing called Strongyloides, right? Strongyloides. And I go, how can you catch Strongyloides, or how can you catch a Strongyloides parasite? And so I'm looking, here's ChatGPT, I'm looking at it, and it goes, let me find it here. It basically says, walking barefoot on beaches. And I'm like, really? I was there for a month. Roatan is a beach town. Of course, I was walking on the beach barefoot every day. So yeah, it's like a high likelihood that could be it. Okay, so what was number 2? So number 2 is this thing called Toxicera. Okay, I'm like, okay, well, how could I have caught Toxicera? And it's like stray dogs. And it says it's very common in Roatan. I'm like, no shit, right? Stray dogs are everywhere. They go in and out of restaurants and bars there. And so, yeah, absolutely, it could have been one of the stray dogs. They would have passed something on to me. Okay, so what was the number 3? So number 3 is called Trichinella, right? And it goes, okay, how could I have caught that? It's like, and it says undercooked pork. If anyone knows me, you would know I love pork. And when I was in Roatan for a month, I was probably eating pork chops like every other day. So if just any one of those was undercooked, then it could have been this third one, Trichinella. And I'm like, crap, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I go, and then I'm typing it in ChatGPT. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like, can one of these parasites activate gout? ChatGPT says, yes, it's not actually gout. It inflames your body, and it fools you to make you think that it's gout, but it's not gout. It's like an autoimmune thing. And I'm like, that's it. I don't have gout, right? So now I'm trying to kind of bulldoze my way in. I haven't heard anything from my podiatrist, so I call the office and I go, hey, you know what? It's been 24 hours. The lab tests are in. I haven't gotten a call from you. Can you just analyze these lab results? And he looks at it, he immediately goes right to the uric acid because he's a podiatrist, and he says it might be gout. And he goes like, yeah, it's probably not gout. I'm like, what the hell? So why am I having gout-like symptoms? Because this thing hurts like hell. And I go, can you zoom through to that one thing called absolute eosinophils? And it says 1021. What does that mean? A doctor goes, I don't know. I can't, that's out of my scope. I'm a podiatrist. You have to go to your primary physician. And I'm like, crap. If I need to go through my primary physician, I'm not going to be able to see them until December 5th. I'm like, what am I going to do? So at least my doctor gave me some pain meds, and the pain in my foot went away after 2 or 3 days, and I was able to walk. And I'm like, okay, now I got to figure out another way to hack the system, right? Okay, do I go to urgent care? Do I go to ER? What do I do? So my insurance is through United Health. They have an app, and in one of the choices in the app, you can talk to a Teledoc or Telemed or whatever. And there's like 3 choices of which organization you can sign up for and immediately talk to a doctor. And I'm like, okay, that's the way I'm going to get it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through one of those, right? And I'm going to get them to be able to prescribe me something, right? Or send some tests to the lab, right? So I sign up like within, for the next day, and first appointment that I was able to get, I grabbed it. Teledoc signed on. We talked via Zoom. Great doctor, like one of the best doctors I've ever talked to. And the caveat to this is prior to my appointment, I had actually emailed a copy of all the lab tests to this doctor so that by the time we signed on, she has a copy of it, so that I don't have to describe everything. And so when she signed on, she was very meticulous. She had one of the best bedside manners, right? She talked me through everything, and it goes, okay, so let's talk through this line by line. So she had a copy of my labs, I had a copy of my labs as she went through. And she's like, okay, and I explained to her everything that happened, my foot pain and all this other crap, and my podiatrist thought it was gout, and she looks at it and she's like, yeah, it's not gout. I'm like, that's what I think, right? So what do you think it is? I didn't want to feed her all these things, and she's asking me like, have you traveled outside the country in the last two months? I said, yes, Roatan, Honduras. And she's like, based on what I'm seeing here on your extremely high absolute eosinophils, you have a parasite. I'm like, yes, right? I didn't have to see my primary physician. I'm going to get treated right away. Like, screw you, medical system. Like, this Teledoc is going to help me out. So I go, what do I do? And she's like, well, in order to be able to rule everything out, we need to get another blood test. And I'm like, crap. Okay, now what kind of blood test? Like, we need to get the blood test specifically for these specific parasites. And I'm like, okay, can you request them? She's like, no. Unfortunately, our system, we can prescribe you prescription medicine, but we cannot request for labs. And I'm like, crap. And I'm like, I chose the wrong company. There's probably one of the other ones that they'd be able to send labs, like to Quest Diagnostics or whatever. And I'm like, second brick wall, right? So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Again, I'm not going to be able to see my primary physician. So I'm like, getting tired of this, right? I've been paying all this money. Why do I even have my own doctor when I cannot see them whenever I need them, whenever I'm sick? And so I go ahead and call the office of my primary physician. I go, and I make a fuss. I'm like, what the hell? I'm sick. I want to be treated, and I want to talk to my primary physician. And she's like, his first appointment is December 5th. And then I'm like, it's September. She's like, oh, there's nothing we can do. He's booked. I go, okay, I want to follow the rules here. I want to be a good steward, right? What is your recommendation of how I can get treatment, right? Like, what rule should I be following? And she's like, well, what you really should do is book an appointment every 3 months so that just in case the 3 months comes and you're sick, you have an appointment waiting for you. And I'm like thinking to myself, that's your system? That's your system? To just randomly book a doctor's appointment every 3 months, and then every as it gets nearer and I'm not sick, I'm just gonna cancel it and I keep booking and booking. Like, no wonder you guys are booked all the time. You probably have all these people faking all these bookings and then canceling last second. And people like me who actually need to see my doctor, they can't go because you have all these fake bookings because they're booking a just in case appointment. And so you nurses up in front, all you're doing all the live long day is booking and then canceling. That's your life because it's all these fake bookings. And I'm like, this can't be. This is America. This is America, right? They're supposed to be the number one power in the world. Like, this is the medical system. I'm sick and I'm paying into my medical insurance and I cannot see my primary physician. Like, what do I do? Do I wait all the way until December 5th, or I go to urgent care? I go to ER. What do I do? And I'm trying to figure out. So doctor number 2, I'm like, so I'm like desperate. So probably like the next day, I call my doctor's office again. I'm like, I'm desperate. Like, I really need to see my doctor. Is there a cancellation? Can you sneak me in? Can you just like literally, all I want is for this doctor to ask for labs. I already have another doctor and I can print out what this other doctor, what this Teledoc just told me. I just want to take it to you so that you could request a blood test for these parasites to Quest Diagnostics or whatever lab you want to send it to. And she's like, well, I'm like, I'll take like a physician's assistant, like nurse practitioner, whatever, like anyone who can send labs. She's like, well, we do have an overflow doctor, and he has an opening tomorrow. I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay, so I'll take that appointment, please, right? So I'm like, okay, vindication. Here it is. Took a little bit, I'm gonna end up seeing my 3rd doctor just to get the treatment that I want, but I am gonna get treated, right? So fast forward to the next day, right? Brand new doctor, I don't know who the hell he is, and he seems like he's patient, and so he goes, so what are you seeing me for? I'm like, okay, you're ready for this. It's kind of a long story. I'm gonna try to speed it up, but maybe I didn't mention this to my very first doctor, but I'm gonna start it out with this. I spent a month in Roatan, Honduras, right? And then yada, 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 2 weeks later, gout-like symptoms, and I went through the whole story. And in fact, not only was he listening to me supposedly, he said, do you mind if I have this AI recorder so that it can record everything and I catch everything? And I go, yes, please catch everything, document everything so that you can treat me. So he has this AI recorder now recording everything, and he's like looking through everything. And I started out, okay, gout-like symptoms. Like, I probably only talked about gout for like 15 seconds because I kind of just wanted to shift the focus to the parasite. I need these things. I need these tests for the parasite, right? So finally, after 15 minutes, he goes, okay, so I'm gonna start you on maintenance pills, and you're gonna have to take this for the rest of your life. I'm like, maintenance pills for what? And he's like, for gout. I go, I thought we're trying to rule out gout. Like, did you not hear my entire story? Like, literally, I started my story and then I mentioned gout, And then after I mentioned gout, he just stopped listening. He just stopped listening. Like, did you not hear this entire journey of 2 doctors I've already talked to? And this previous doctor was definitive and said, this is not gout, this is a parasite. And he's like, no, we don't know that. I go, but I got this request. I got this request from this other doctor to get a blood test for these parasites. And he goes, well, I've never asked for those tests before. And I'm like, what? Like, you just, I'm thinking to myself, you just graduated from med school? Like, what? Like, so what? So what? Like, look through your books, something, you know? This other doctor had already prescribed or had already said, ask for these labs. So I'm like, and so he goes, well, I'm going to ask for these other labs that other than the one that they asked for, because that's the one I'm familiar with. And I'm going to ask for more labs related to gout, just so we can rule it out. And it's like, I'm like, okay. At least I'm seeing a doctor, right? So maybe they'll catch it. And he goes, hey, and you know, there's a stool test or whatever, and then it might be able to detect it, right? It might be able to detect whatever you have. And as he's saying all these things, I already have ChatGPT by my side, and I'm like, can these stool tests detect these 3 parasites? ChatGPT is like, highly unlikely. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm gonna have to run through 2 sets of tests, right? Where it doesn't catch it the first time around, and then he's gonna be forced to ask for the blood samples that I am insisting that he take, right? And then at the very end, so he goes, well, okay, I'm going to prescribe you these maintenance pills. I'm like, no, let's hold off on that. You know, why don't we wait until we rule this other thing out? And he's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I'm telling you, you're the doctor, I'm telling you to let's rule things out first before you pump me with a lifetime of maintenance meds. And I'm like, okay, this guy is not giving me a good first impression already. You suck, right? So I'm thinking, okay, what am I gonna do? And at the very end, he goes, well, I also wanna run an X-ray on your foot. The whole time I've been talking about my right foot, right? He goes, I wanna run an X-ray to make sure that there's no damage, there's no crystals or all this crap. I'm like, fine, whatever, you know, rule out whatever you need to rule out, right? Like, I'm already thinking, bad first impression, this guy sucks, right? So he goes, here's the prescription, here's the thing, here's the write-up, yada, 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 and then here's for the X-ray. And we're gonna take the X-ray right now. So I go back to the waiting room. X-ray tech calls me, I go into the X-ray room, and he goes, all right, put your left foot right here. And I'm like, what? Yeah, he goes, we're gonna X-ray your left foot. I mean, what do you mean my left foot? This whole time I was telling my doctor that it's my right foot. What do you mean left foot? Well, it says here it's left foot. And I'm like, what if I was going to surgery and you were gonna cut something off? Like, how do I know you guys were not gonna cut off the wrong thing or you're not gonna operate on the wrong thing? And the X-ray tech's like, haha. So that's why we usually write something on the opposite one and put an X and say, not this one. This is comedy errors. I'm thinking, okay, well, this guy sucks, right? You guys all suck. This is my own doctor's office now. This is my primary physician's office, and this guy, the substitute doctor, doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and he doesn't know left from right. So I'm like, I go, switch it to right. And he was like, yeah, okay, let me just get let me get it canceled and switch over. They switch it over, they get an X-ray. There's nothing, of course. because it's not gout. No crystals, no damage, no nothing. All I care about is this freaking test, right? This freaking blood test and stool test. That is not even the test that I wanted. It's not even the test that I wanted, right? I wanted this other test because there's no way in hell that this thing is going to be able to detect these potential parasites that I could have caught from Honduras. So go through the blood test again. They test me for gout. They test, stool. They taken some stool samples and all this other crap, right? Yeah, they're not going to find anything. They're not going to find anything. My uric acid, perfectly fine again, right? And then they test my absolute eosinophils again. Instead of 1021, now it's 1029. It's actually going up. And I'm like, what the hell is going on, right? But at least by this time, the pain meds that the first doctor gave me started working, and I'm no longer experiencing pain on my foot. I can walk around, I can go to these doctor's appointments and all this, but still, like, I feel okay, my foot's okay, but now I can't sleep thinking that I have these parasites crawling all over my body, right? So I'm like, so what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? Okay, so that's doctor number 3. I go through tests, go through all of these, and still nothing. And then he goes, well, and then make another appointment with me in 2 weeks, as a follow-up. I'm like, great. Another appointment with the sucky doctor who is like a rookie and can't tell left from right. Okay. I'm like, okay, I'll wait it out for 2 weeks. All right. After my test, whatever, 4 days later, like in the middle of the night, all of a sudden, just shooting pain, like sharp pain, just pulsing through this side of my body. It just kept on pulsing. So it's like, like it was pulsing like every 45 seconds. It's like just one of the most painful things. Like when I was going through the gout-like pain, I would say that was like a 9 out of 10 pain. This was kind of like an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, and sometimes it pulses 9 out of 10. So I'm like, crap, what the hell is going on now? Like, is the parasite now trying to jump out of my stomach like aliens? Like, what the hell is going on? I couldn't sleep. So for 4 days, all of a sudden, I got this pulsing, jabbing pain. And I was like, oh man. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And on the 4th day, I just could not take it. And I was like, man, like, I gotta go. I gotta go to urgent care. I just can't take it. So I told my work, you know what? I'm gonna skip this morning. I'm gonna go straight to urgent care the minute they open, like 8 o'clock in the morning. So I go there, and waiting in the waiting room, and he goes, what's wrong? I go, I got this pain in my stomach, or in the side, like under my rib, and it's just like it's pulsing, and it's like a nervy pain, and it's sharp. I just couldn't take it anymore. It's just, and then like so they look at it and they're like, so what do you think it is? And I'm like, I got a story for you. So once again, right, I go through this whole drawn out story. And I told them, I've already seen 3 doctors, right? And then she's talking to me and she's like, you really need to see your primary physician. I'm like, I can't. That's why I'm seeing you. That office sucks, right? I can't get an appointment until December 5th. And she's like, what do you want me to do about it? I'm like, can you run some tests? I already have a doctor that says I need these specific tests. And she's like, I can't do that. We got to go through your primary physician. I was like, this frigging red tape, like the 4th doctor. And she goes, who's your primary physician? I go, well, this other doctor that's down the street. She goes, let me go and make a call to that office because you really need to see them, right? It's either that or you need to go to ER. And I'm like, crap. Okay, call them. Here's their phone number. And I don't know, the clouds must have parted, because this doctor comes back and she goes, leave right now. I just got an opening for you for your primary physician. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like, bless you, right? So I'm just like, yeah, screech, just drive over to my primary physician. And, I'm waiting there. I had to wait maybe like an extra 45 minutes, but who cares? I get to see my doctor, the doctor I've been going to for more than 10 years, finally, right? So I'm waiting there. They call me in. I'm waiting in his office, and finally he comes in, and I go, do you know how long I've been trying to see you? And he goes, I know, we're really busy, we're this and this, whatever, right? And it's like, there's just no way. And I'm like, what happens when your own patients have an emergency? Like, what are they supposed to do? And he's like, just go to ER. Just go to urgent care or whatever, or ER. I'm like, this is life. This is life in the US. This is what we're gonna have to do. We're not gonna be able to see our primary physician unless we schedule it out like 3 months and 6 months. So he's like, okay, so what do you got? Doctor number 4, right? I explain this whole thing, right? And I go, and your colleague tries to put me on maintenance pills already with no proof that I have gout. Can you please ask for these specific blood tests that this other doctor had already said is going to be able to detect the thing that I have, right? And he's like, well, let's try to rule it out, right? There's these other tests that you can take that may be able to rule it out. But, right now, what do you need? I said, I'm in excruciating pain right now, and it pulses, right? My stomach. Like, you need to prescribe me something, some really strong pain. I can't sleep, I can't work, I can't think. I sleep in a fetal position now. I mean, it's just pumping, right? And he goes, okay, well, we need to get you a CAT scan. I'm like, a CAT scan. I'm like, crap. Okay. It's like, when can you get me in? He's like, we can get you in tomorrow, right? I go, what about the test? He goes, okay, well, I'll get you the test, but first I need to see the CAT scan. And I'm like, okay. I may not be getting the test, but I am one step away from the test. If he gets the CAT scan and he sees something, maybe that will prompt him to get the test. But odds are he's not going to see anything because these parasites are microscopic. Like, how are you going to see it through the CAT scan? But maybe he's going to see something else, and maybe it's not a parasite, because now it doesn't seem like it's a parasite because it's just jabbing my stomach. It's just like a knife jabbing through my stomach, right? Schedule the CAT scan the next day. At this point, right, out of pocket, like I probably already spent like over $1,000 just going through all these different channels. It's like just trying to get the treatment that I was asking for day one, right? Sure. I got an unnecessary x-ray. CAT scan, that makes sense because the pain is in my stomach. Go, CAT scan. Of course, there was nothing. There's nothing on the CAT scan. They're not seeing anything. Obviously. I'm like, so now I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm putting everything that's happening in my life right now in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is saying, yes, you know what? It could be from the parasite. Like I'm starting, after the pain kind of peaked, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start taking Tylenol. I'm just going to start taking, maximum strength. I'm going to double up. In the meantime, at least the doctor gave me some pain pills and some GI pills because he thinks that it's through my intestines or whatever. So he gave me like some muscle relaxers, and then he gave me some stronger pain pills than Tylenol. So I was taking that, and it was subsiding when the pain pills were on, but the minute it rubs off, right, the minute it dies off, like every 6 hours, every 8 hours, once again. And I'm like, what is happening to my life? What is happening to my life? And I'm thinking, I am competent. I'm still not that old. I'm pretty proactive and pretty aggressive. And I'm in America, right? What if I were a senior citizen? What if I were alone? Or what if, I wasn't as, as tenacious? I wasn't like a, just like a bulldog, just going after and being an advocate for my own health. Like, are those people just taking what these doctors say at face value? They're just pumping themselves with drugs and just trusting these people, right? Like, what the hell is happening? Me, like, now I have this massive distrust because everything they're saying is basically contradicting what ChatGPT is saying. And by the way, when I went, remember when I told you about the substitute doctor, right? So I was telling him about the eosinophils. I go, how do you explain the eosinophils other than a parasite or an allergy? What do you think it is? He goes, well, it could be that the colchicine is what the podiatrist had prescribed me for the pain to go away from my foot. He goes, maybe the colchicine is causing your eosinophils number to go up, right? And I go, wait a minute. I didn't even tell you that I took the colchicine before the test. I took the test before I took the pain meds. So there is no way that the pain meds would be the cause of it. And the other thing, I put it in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT says, you're full of shit. There is no way colchicine will raise that metric. So I'm going to pause for a sec. Okay, where are we now? Okay, so the rundown is, how many doctors have I seen already? The first one is the podiatrist. The second one is the Teledoc. The third one is the substitute doctor. The fourth one is the urgent care doctor that I've seen that sent me to my primary physician, right? So I've now seen 5 doctors. And at that time, it's been 4 weeks of me just trying to get these tests, right? And so by then, I had posted an initial video about me potentially catching a parasite from Honduras, right? And so the people that I stayed with in Honduras, they pinged me, right? And they said, it's very common. That's very common. People who live there, this is a common thing. And her and her family, apparently, they go to the doctor twice a year to get a gut cleanse and then get their blood tests. The doctor looks at it and then prescribes the proper one. So it's either Strongyloides, Trichinella, or Toxocara. And they're prescribed either Ivermectin or Albendazole. And that's it. They're in and out and they're treated. In Honduras, it's a third world country. Never have I been I live in the United States. Never have I wanted to go to a third world country to get a medical treatment because I think that I'm going to get better treatment there. In a third world country. I'm in America. And not only am I in America, I am in California. I am in a major metropolitan. I live in Los Angeles, California. And it's been 4 weeks and I'm not getting treated. So I've already seen 5 doctors, including my own primary physician. I've had multiple lab tests, stool samples. I've had an x-ray. I've had a CT scan, right? Nothing. They have still not diagnosed. And my own doctor's office, they're so fixated on the gout. And I'm like, I don't even care about that. Like, I'll take the maintenance pills if it's gout. I don't care. Figure out why my levels, my absolute eosinophils, are double what it's supposed to be. Figure that shit out. I'm just getting sick of it, And then I've been taking Tylenol, and so at least the pain had been subsiding. When the Tylenol is working, when it wears out, again, back in pain. But since then, when I went to my primary physician, he felt my stomach. There weren't any marks or anything like that. And then 4 days later, once the pain started subsiding, all of a sudden, and I've shown it in the other video, I now have these marks. I now have all these rashes, right? And I'm like, what the hell is going on, right? I pick another company through another app, right? Another Teledoc company, right? So I lucked out. I lucked out because this doctor, she has the ability to request for lab tests, right? And so once again, I pre-email all the tests that I've taken, all the symptoms, everything that ChatGPT had told me. And then she went down the line and she's like, yeah, you have a parasite. I go, is it one of these 3? She's like, yeah, absolutely. And I go, why can't I get treated? And she's like, people in America, they're not used to this. This is not very common here. Doctors here, they don't know what to do, right? They don't gravitate toward the test that you're asking right away. They'll run through all these other things before they'll even finally get that test. And I'm like, how do you know? How come you knew right away? She goes, I just happened to have previously worked in an infectious disease office, right? And so I absolutely know that what you have is probably one of those 3 parasites. And I go, can you explain these rashes? Can you explain why I'm having this? She looks at it like 3 seconds. She's like, those are shingles. And I'm like, shingles? Like, why is that associated with the parasite? She's like, no. Because it's taken you 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks, and you're freaked out and you're thinking about this, you've stressed yourself out and you've caused yourself to get shingles. And I'm like, ugh. I'm like, okay. Thank you, medical system. I go, okay, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you send for labs for these 3 specific parasites? She's like, yes. Here it is. Where do you want it to go? Right? I go, this lab. Yeah. I go. So by the time that appointment occurred for that lab, for me to get those blood tests for the 3 parasites, it's been 5 weeks. And I just came back from that office. I just got my blood test, right? I've been riding this emotional roller coaster because, I'm thinking that I'm finally winning, like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back every single time that I'm optimistic that I'm going to get the treatment that I want, that I'm going to get the lab results that I'm waiting for. All of a sudden, just rain cloud, kind of just whatever. But at least I've accomplished what I've been trying to accomplish in the last 5 weeks, which is to get the specific blood test for these 3 specific parasites. And here it is, right? So I just came from the office. And before I started ranting in this video, that's where I came from. So fingers crossed that they're going to say that you have one of these 3 parasites. If not all, I don't give a crap anymore, right? And they're going to give me either Ivermectin or Albendazole. One that Hondurans could easily acquire back in their own country. Like, doctors know. It's just, I'm just so frustrated with our medical system, right? I'm not on Medicare. I'm not on government help or anything. No, I have a normal job and I'm paying into my medical insurance. I have a really good insurance. So how come I cannot get the treatment that I need? How come I literally, maybe 3 weeks ago, I was already thinking it's much better for me to catch a flight, go to another country, and then get the treatment that I really need, right? Or that I am pursuing, because my doctors would not listen to me. The only thing that helps me out, really, that validates all my assumptions is ChatGPT, honestly. And who knows, maybe it's 50-50. I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but man, the American medical system, like, I've never gotten to a point where I really needed them, right? I usually just go to the doctor to just get my yearly checkup. Thankfully, knock on wood, I've been relatively healthy. But man, you're telling me that sick people that really need medical help, that are screaming to the top of their lungs and are clamoring to see a doctor, or clamoring to get the treatment that they want, this is what they're going through? I'm like, all you medical, medical system programmers, people in this industry, you guys really need to be ashamed of yourself. This is pathetic, right? We are supposed to be the #1 country in the world, right? How is it that I am going to get way better treatment in a 3rd world country than in a 1st world country, right? You guys are pathetic. So, fingers crossed. Hopefully I get my labs results tomorrow and it tells me that I have one of the 3, and I can finally force my doctor to prescribe the thing that I've been trying to get them to prescribe me for 5 weeks. And then once I get the treatment that I want, I am 100% going to switch. I'm going to find a brand new doctor. I'm going to find a brand new primary physician. I'm sick of this office. I'm going to find like a mom and pop office where I can see my doctor at the times that I can see them when I need them, right? Like, I don't care about seeing you when I don't need you. Who gives a crap? I want to be able to see you when I actually need you. So, wish me luck that this nightmare is over and I'm finally going to get a diagnosis after 5 weeks. And hopefully I can finally get this thing cleared up. So, thank you for listening.